If you can stop talking for 10 seconds, that would be fantastic. You want to hit the start timer on there? You want to hit? You want to start podcasting, genius?
Hello, and welcome to Carnival Personnel Sideshow. I'm Jacques.
I'm Biff.
And so, why are you the way you are? That is Joe. Our other co-host, Biff, who's in Los Angeles, isn't on this podcast right now. Sadly, you were the player to be named later. So anyway, so Joe and I over the last few months have had a bunch of comics that we both really like, and it's been a lot of fun. And that continues today. Over the last 7 months that I've been doing this, I've done comedy with a lot of people whose stuff I really like, and I'm really excited because there's a couple people who, if I go on first or second and they get there late and they're like 15th or 16th, I will stick around just to see them. Not because I'm nice, because I'm selfish and I like to laugh, and I don't think I've ever seen either one of these comics, because it's a twofer, Joe. We got two.
For the price of none.
Right.
Because we are not paying these people.
Exactly.
Nor do we pay any of our guests.
You know.
In fact, they had to pay us.
Oh, they're paying for it. Trust me.
Yes,
they
dearly.
They are paying for it. So before I ramble too much longer, Joe, say hello to Xtina and the other guy there, the good-looking one. You know,
what's his name? He has a name. No. Let him do it.
It is. Look, checking my notes. It is. Oh, right. It is Nick. Let me see. Is that middle name correct? Yes. It is Nick fucking Powell.
Hi, guys. Hi, everybody.
Well, hello.
So we'll just jump right into it. I've over the first couple months I started back in this after a nice little 30-year hiatus. I just went to a few mics. Sadly, most of them out in Worcester to begin with before I found the one at the Safe in Lowell. And I really kind of kept my head down, was quiet. You know, I'm not that much of an outgoing person anyways, but I kind of wanted to see how the machinery worked. Kind of see how the culture worked, the subculture worked, the personalities, and just how these things are run.
Just like a Jane Goodall of comedy. You know?
Yes. So I'm watching these orangutans.
He doesn't actively participate, but
and I've come to understand over like the last 7 months. There's so much funny out there. There really is so much funny. But I've started to really see a bunch of people kind of at the same time turn a corner with a lot of things, with delivery, with presence, with structure, with not just telling a joke, but putting sets together. And honestly, and I've said this to the few other people that we've had on the podcast who I've been lucky enough to share stages with, there's about probably a 10% who's going to really have a chance to go a rung or two up where we are. And then there's probably 5%, probably 10% within that 10% that it's like, yeah, it would not surprise me if they don't have day jobs in the next year to two, and this is what they do. And I'm really psyched that both, you know, XTina and Nick, because honestly, you guys, since I first started going to the Safe and seeing you guys, always funny, but the development and your presentation and everything, it's like, yeah, if I was to put together a scorecard or you know, say, okay, here are the people I think the next 6 months go here, the next year go here, the next 2 year goes here. You guys definitely, depends on how much you make it a priority or want to make it a priority. I really see this as a legit potential as being a career for both of you guys.
And I appreciate that, but like I need to just back up a sec, because you said something about like, oh, first coming to mics after a 30-year hiatus, and like that you weren't a people person. I'm sorry, Jacques. I completely disagree with that. Yeah, are you kidding?
Jack, I can't imagine the minute people walk in the door, he's like, "Hi, name's Jack. You think about my kid?" Like you are the number one candidate for like. I thought like if someone were to do the email scam and like started talking with you, and you were like, they're like, "What's your grandmother's birthday?" But it's this. She was a wonderful woman. I got to tell you about the story back in the day. But you would fill out all of that shit immediately.
Yeah,
bro, you are so fucking nice. There's no way.
So right there.
Oh
so right there, I got
starting off on false promise.
Yeah. Like these are lies. Right. We need to nip that in the bud. Like,
well, see, I'm the exact opposite.
But,
I think the exact opposite of Jacques, because you think he's like really nice and all this stuff, and then during his introduction, I was like, wow, I really need to implement a skip intro button for the podcast because that took 5 solid minutes, and they are now talking. So
and as a podcast listener, I totally agree with you, sir. Like that, you're exactly right. That is definitely a thing. Like it's as if we're trying to skip the ads. We're trying to skip the ads.
Yeah.
But I do. It's funny because
give us a lot of credit.
No, it's true.
I appreciate it, and I think XTina just came a little bit. Like from the amount of like positive attention and like giving her that kind of expectation.
You don't have to tell everyone every time I come.
The table, the minute you were like, I can see you guys doing just like, oh fuck, we put that back in a loop. Oh shit, you know what I mean?
Like we don't have to tell people that I need to change my underwear in the middle of the podcast. Like we don't have to do that every time.
But I do appreciate that we do. I have to live vicariously through somebody.
But
no, but it's funny because I've really there's so many people that I see at these different mics. I'm like, man, they're grinding away. They're doing great. And I equate it to this is a lot of people's hobby. And there's a lot of people, over 20 who played high school baseball or college baseball who are now playing softball. And instead of going to softball 2 or 3 nights a week, they're doing this. And I would never discredit anybody from this is fun. I mean, literally, even the bat nights at open mics, it's something funny happens. It's always worth getting in the car. But I've really enjoyed seeing the both of you and getting to know you. And now I want to know you guys a little better. So we'll start with Xtina. How long have you been doing it? And what happened the day before you took the mic the first day that you said, "Oh, I can do this"?
Yeah, actually. So I've been doing it for about, what is it? It's June. So like November of 2022 is when I started. So about 8 months. My at the time, one of my good friends, Nick, had me go to the Worthing. He was there with a lady friend of his, and he was like, "Oh, it's an open mic." So he did comedy at that open mic, and his lady friend did poetry. And I fell in love with her, this woman that he was with, a little bit. But also, at the same time, I was like, shit. And I'd been wanting to do stand-up for a long time. Years, really. And so when I saw him do it, and I saw her go up, and I saw all these other people like do their thing, whether it was music, comedy, poetry, I thought to myself, you know what? I can fucking do this. Like, I think I can do this. And I said I was gonna go to the next week, and the next week I went and I did my first 5 minutes ever, and it was probably not great. But Nick said I did pretty good. And yeah, from there I caught the bug. I caught the bug. And then by the end of December, right? It's the end of the year. And I'm not like one for New Year's resolutions. But this was one that I thought that I could actually accomplish. And it was, you know what? For the first 6 months of 2023, I'm going to do at least one open mic a week doing comedy.
Oh, where?
And now we're here, and I've probably done on average at least 3 open mics per week since the year started. And it's been incredible. It's been wonderful, and I'm having the time of my life. And
you owe it all to Nick.
And you own alternate.
I mean, it sucks that I have to kind of say that a little bit, right? Because I mean, look at him. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
With this guy, he looks like he puts consent in fucking quotation marks. You know.
Oh, the Cosby contract. Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Contract.
It's a boilerplate, Cosby.
But here I am. But yeah, no, like honestly, it's been incredible, and like just the idea that I can do this. And I've actually April, I did three different shows where I actually like made money, and that blew my mind. That blew my fucking mind that I could actually make money doing something that I'm having fun doing. And I've never done any like just extracurricular activities in school. Like I was always a stoner in school. I never had anything that I was like excited about. I never had an art. I never had an activity, a sport. And like this has been something that I'm like, you know what? I'm still really enjoying myself. So yeah, so I think it's been about 8 months. Yeah.
It's funny how many people I've talked to, you know, either here or Worcester or even some people, you know, up in Manchester. It's something happened around October or November of 2022 where I'm going to say 75% of people we do mics with on a regular basis from September, October, November on is when they started. And it's really funny. Like I said, I think so many
That was when I had sex with Matt Wright for the first time.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Now, another thing I'm jealous of.
For the first time.
The first time.
Right.
Just the first time.
Well, the first time or the first time with consent.
With consent. Yeah, okay.
Oh, there was no consent.
All right. We're getting called out. We got to I'm sorry.
See what I did there?
Yeah.
See what I did there?
It's so
Resting January 6th face.
so Xtina, the first time you went up at Worthen, do you remember any of the bits? Have some of those carried over? Have you refined them, or have they all been like, oh, I can't believe I did that?
No, that's a great question. I feel like there are a few things. I feel like it's more not right where like topics that I built upon, and there are some things that I kind of like left to the wayside. But I think a lot of what I was doing that first time was just kind of like shooting the shit with the audience. I was like, oh, like trying to like relay things off of them, see what their reactions were. But also I was like very drunk. So so there's not like a ton that I remember specifically, but I will say, I was looking for feedback. I was for sure looking for feedback from people because like I said, like the past few years, I had been like just writing down bits like in my phone and notes, like just what am I thinking of? Things that I think are funny, things that I've said to my friends that they have then said to me are very funny. And so I like just thought, you know, I want to understand if other people also think that's funny, right? So like even if it's just like a topic, not even necessarily have I didn't even have punchlines at that point, right? I didn't know how to structure a joke yet.
Jacques doesn't have
that wasn't even a thing that was in my mind.
Yeah, punchlines are so overrated.
Yeah, right.
Just, you know, just long-winded stories with dated references are fine.
Jacques' the only one who does multiple choice for jokes. It's like, all right, I'm going to give you a premise.
Hold on. You were
Around the middle.
No, you're exactly right. However, Jacques, you are a storyteller, right? Some comics are storyteller comics, and you are one of those comics. And I'm like, oh, like you are someone that if you get into a conversation with me, I can understand, like it's going somewhere. Whereas like I just used to think like that I didn't fully understand the structure of a joke until I started like telling jokes on stage and then also watching other comics tell jokes on stage, right? And I'm like, oh, that's a similar topic to what I was doing, but they have like an end. There's a conclusion, right? And that's very important. And also learning that like, oh, you can kind of swap out those conclusions, right? You can swap out those, you know, and like learning that back in probably when I started doing like those paid shows back in April, that blew my mind. And I was like, shit, I should I need to know what I'm talking about, right? Like I need to seem more professional.
Well,
but
was the Luna, was that, well, so I saw your Luna show in April, and I think we've had every headliner for Luna on, or for Mondo Comedy on in the last 6 months on this. And that show, so there's two questions about that show. When did you start letting friends and family come to see you? So you start in November, and in April, that was a big show at a nice place, $15 with a real legit headliner. Was that, who was the headliner? Was that
Mike Donovan?
Oh my God,
Mike Donovan!
Like literally.
Oh yeah,
I bought his book after the show.
I was starstruck. No, I have his book here in my apartment. No, I was starstruck. I promise. Like that blew my mind. But as soon as I told two people at work that I was doing that show at Luna, and then he came to one of my coworkers came to me, and one of the principals of my company. I work in an engineering firm as a project coordinator. And he was like, "Oh, a few people from work want to come to your show." Like, great. 20 people from my work showed up.
Wow.
And not only did 20 people show up, but they stayed, and they were an incredible audience.
They really were. Yeah.
Laughing at everybody. They blew my mind. I was a little nervous because I was like, shit, I don't want all these people to come, because I think I was that second or third person up, right? And I was like, I told them, I was like, bless you. Because his name chatted. But I was nervous. I was nervous that like they were going to watch me in my 7 minutes and then just fuck off. Right. No, they stayed for the entire show. They were an incredible audience. And a good amount of those people came to the Taffeta show that we did.
That's
on
fantastic.
June 9th.
And so and something else with your Luna show. So that's just a few months after you really get started. That's a 5-month window. I got to give you credit. I got to give you a lot of credit. One thing is, the last couple Luna shows I've done, my sisters and cousins were there, and I'm very, very close with my sister. There's just so many things I wouldn't even dream about saying in front of my sister. The joke that you have with your dad as the punchline, I'm like, oh my, first of all, I would never say that in front of my dad, because he's dead. And I only talked to him a few times the last 20 years he was alive. But other than that, no, but I'm like, your bravery is like, funny is funny. And I'm going out there, honestly, and your coworkers, because your stuff, you put so much out there. You know what I mean?
And which one of your coworkers snitched to HR? I want to know which. I want to name names.
That's a great question. So we don't have HR. We're a small company, so we don't have HR right now. So it worked out really well. No, but it's true. Like you're saying the thing about my dad, and my dad was also there that night. Yeah.
and I was like, as you start to do the bit, I'm like, oh my God, I love this bit, but I couldn't, like, there's no way I could do that. So hey, I've been married for 20 years. So saying you have more balls than me isn't really saying that much, but kudos to you for having, such a presence. And we'll get to the taffeta thing in a minute, but now I want to jump over to Nick again, clarifying the second name, middle name through legal. Yes, it's Nick fucking Powell. Same thing with you, Nick. So when you're a deployed Marine, with the whole time you thinking, oh man, I can't wait to get back into the trenches of comedy when I get out of the shithole.
No, I was not doing it at the time, but I definitely was developing bits, and it was mainly through poor choices. You know what I mean? I think I set a record of the unit for sleeping with 2 different women while on deployment in Afghanistan, and so I thought that was funny. And I was like, I could definitely work that into a bit, and like I got made fun of enough for it. You know what I mean? So like, I definitely was always developing bits, but I didn't start till around like 2016. I deployed like 2012, 2014.
And you're being made fun of because you weren't sleeping with enough women at the same time? Like only 2? Really? Come on, brother. Step up your game.
No, I was made fun of because I was the communications guy. I was the IT guy for a Marine unit. So they were like, there's no reason to have those muscles, you piece of shit. What are you doing? So why are you fucking eating Air Force shit? You know what I mean? It just didn't make sense.
And so you're Lowell native, correct? Are you both Lowell natives?
So I'm from Tewksbury, which is right next door to Lowell, but I went to UMass Lowell starting when I was 18. So I've been here for 15 years, but he's not from Lowell.
No, I was on Southern New Hampshire guy, then a Manchester guy. Well, you know what I mean? Service excluded. Southern New Hampshire, Manchester, and then I just got to Lowell probably about 3 years ago.
Okay.
2 years ago. Over there, yeah.
And when do you get out of Lowell? Because that's what everybody's asking. When do you get?
That's coming up next.
No. Wait, listen. It's already been established. I know.
Delicious.
I know. I'm gonna die here. I know that.
Like, sign up for this. I don't know.
It's decided. It's been decided for me.
Just a pact, a suicide pact with Lowell.
So
like when the Worthen is your cheers, yeah, you've already decided.
Oh yeah.
You gotta get up.
Well, you know,
Like, Patty, sign me up. I'll see you 20 years from now. Oh, no, the other thing was that you called. All right, I had to get this in. I'm sorry before I forget. She was like, Jacques, you are a storyteller comedian. You did not see the fucking Gilbert Gottfried set. For the love of God.
I did not.
So
Wait. First off,
single like hit, like back to back to back, fucking nailed it.
Does this mean I get to hear your Gilbert
Oh,
Gottfried?
no. I fucking hope so. That's a call out.
No, we don't burn that on the podcast.
It's one of the one-liners.
Are you giving me a hard? You're giving me a hard no. You're giving me a hard no. Right
okay.
Oh, you're comedically edging her right now.
So here's the backstory. So I think so. Joe and I started doing a sketch comedy show that got syndicated throughout New England in like 94, 95.
Syndicated meaning, 3 towns.
No, 28 different cable stations
Good
ended
Lord.
up doing. Well, it's funny because I have
Got the fucking stats.
That's what in LA we ended up getting it.
Each one individually to pitch it.
We ended up getting it on a UHF channel when I got to LA.
Anyways, UHF we'll learn about later.
But yeah, we'll talk about UHF later. But it's funny because I don't know if you guys remember the Boston Phoenix, but I was kind of I was a darling with the Boston Phoenix. It's like my wife just walked in my office like a month ago.
And was it dark?
No. Nick, it's sad. It's because I had a band that did really, really well.
I swear to God, there's a Gilbert.
Oh, so like, did you also have an in with? You had an in with 1017.
Listen, did you talk to Maddie in the morning? Don't lie to me.
No, so
how many you talk to that motherfucker?
So Joe and I had the show, and I have a pseudo brother who's like a tenured professor at the University of Maryland. At the time, was a professor at Harvard, and Joe and I did skits based on him, and he would call me at like 2 a.m. saying, 3 coworkers just walked in and said, "Hey, there's this comedy show and there's a character named Dr. Ross Salowich," and which Joe played. Joe played Doc. We had a skit called Physics Today. It was an intellectual talk show about physics where he played my physicist brother, debating an episode of the sitcom Alice from the 70s. It's weird. It's meta. It's stupid. But people and the head movie critic of the Boston Phoenix did skits with us all the time. But we did a skit where Joe did Gilbert Gottfried from
USA Up All Night.
We made a really bad Up All Night movie. We made a made-for-TV movie that Joe was the Gilbert Gottfried introducing, coming in and out of the commercial breaks, and it absolutely killed. And on this podcast, we sometimes do a thing called self-indulgent theater where Joe will do a song as like Gilbert Gottfried, or he'll do Bernie Sanders singing Fight for Your Right to Party. So Nick had put on Instagram.
Bernie Sanders doing Fight for Your Right to Party. Oh, that's really getting me going.
So he did that, and then But Nick had put on Instagram, come and do an impression. So I did my impression of Joe's impression of Gilbert Gottfried. I came home and sometimes my wife asks how it goes, and sometimes she's sleeping when I get home, but I usually don't harangue her with my stuff.
Or she's pretending to be sleeping.
Oh, 100%, 1000%. But I showed her, and the absolute. Like, she couldn't stop looking at me and looking at the TV, and she's like, just horrified. And she's like, "Has Joe seen this?" Like, their first thing is like, "What does Joe think of this?"
And it was delightful. I thought you captured it beautifully. But anyways, so you have a Gilbert Gottfried. Everybody. I think everybody deep down inside has a Gilbert Gottfried impersonation in them.
And I went through.
I don't know.
I think everyone has a Christopher Walken and a Matthew McConaughey.
Who fighters?
I actually, I Xtina the other day. I was finally going through my phone, like, mining for old notes and stuff. And I came across a note. You guys know Ian Michael Sargent. I put a note in my thing like months ago. When I didn't know who people were, I'd be like, this guy who did this bit, this guy who did this bit. So the next time I would see him, I would remember a bit. And I had written down in December, like, Ian Michael Sargent, amazing Christopher Walken Jingle Bells. And so I had just texted him like last week, or I sent him a note on Instagram. I'm like, I just found this note where I wanted to remember you. And I'm like, and there's a note, the guy who did the amazing Christopher Walken Jingle Bell. And I just want to let you know, Ian,
we all need that.
Still laughing at that.
I need that.
We all need it. You need to get that.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah, I need that. I can't stress to you how much that motherfucking, that guy's a fucking performer.
And I've done it.
His shit.
I've done it twice to him. Where he sat right in front, and I just did his bits for 5 minutes in front of him. I just come out. My name is Ian Michael Sargent. You know who else goes by 3 names? Murderers. I'm not a murderer, but Ian, isn't that what a murderer would say?
That is where Jacques peels off from, he's like, he comes off as the nicest guy ever, but to stand in front of someone and do their bits back to their face is so fucking cold.
Oh,
it's so fucking funny though.
Jacques, you're
savage. Endorse it, but it's savage. Yeah, it's like, oh my God.
We love it. We're here for all of it.
I don't know if Joe was there.
People don't realize.
Were you there for the Edible Rec show with Flock of Seagulls?
No.
You weren't.
No.
All right. I won't. I'll make this.
I don't know what any of those words were. What were all those words?
We're getting back to Nick and him getting into comedy, but I'll tell you, I'll make it a 15-second thing. Do you know the band Flock of Seagulls who sing the song I Ran? And I ran.
I only know the Flock of Seagulls. Yeah, I only know.
You went a different direction.
I only know Flock of Seagulls. I only know Flock of Seagulls. You know how I know Flock of Seagulls?
What's that?
The wedding
singer.
Yes,
wedding singer,
wedding
Flock of singer haircut.
So it's 93, 92, 93.
No, it's 2023.
They're on a tour. They play this club called Edible Rex, and we opened for them. And we ended our set by playing their one hit. And there was like 200 people there and about 100 people to see a Flock of Seagulls and 100 people to see who the fuck would see a Flock of Seagulls and see our punk band. And we played and we wouldn't stop playing. And then they killed the lights. We kept playing. They killed the instruments. You can't turn off the drums. And it's like I keep playing, and our bass player's standing on the edge of the stage, just screaming the lyrics
how you carry on a conversation
as they're carrying out the stuff, one by one. Anyways, so Nick, 2012, you get out of the Marines, and what are you doing when you come home? And how did you go from getting out of the Marines to getting at your first open mic?
Yeah, where's that connection?
That's a far. All right. No. So it was 2012. I got home for deployment. 2014, I get out of the Marines.
You got okay.
I did a 2-year stint in Japan. That was one that it followed after the deployment. So I did Japan, came back, and I want to say it was so I started working at this bar, Murphy's. You know that one in Manchester?
No.
Right. So I'm working at Murphy's tap room. I'm working at Murphy's tap room, and at the time they have an open mic hosted by Nick. I can't remember his name.
Cassavetes.
It's another Nick. That's Spanish. Anyway, so they hosted from it's another Nick, and so I get to know that guy, and it's on Wednesdays, and it happens to be on Wednesdays. I mean, we've talked about it before. A lot of comics tend to love alcohol, maybe a little bit. If we're underselling it a little bit. So it's dollar draft on Wednesdays, and they have an open mic in the back, and I'm working as a bouncer. So eventually I'm like, fuck this, I'm taking a break, take the fucking shirt off, go walk back, and I'm like, all right, let's do this out.
You would take your shirt off.
Yeah, of course. So we walked back, and I just started following it from there, and I did it for about a year, and I was so overambitious at the time. I tried to do a 20-minute set in the back of there. I rented out one Sunday, and I had a bunch of my family there, a bunch of my friends, a lot of people I knew from the bar, a lot of people I knew from Manchester. So we probably had a room of 35, 40 people.
What?
I was like, I'm going to do a full 20-minute set. I have never gone beyond like 5-minute set. I was like maybe like a year and some change in, and I tried to do it. It was so bad. I had a fucking laptop sitting on a stool. You know what I mean? Like, oh fuck, yeah, knock that over.
We're so sorry. We're so sorry.
But I was like, I had a laptop.
You ruined the podcast by knocking
and
the
I'm
phone over.
like scrolling down on that thing and fucking reading out the jokes. That's fair.
What else is new? I ruined a lot of things.
No, so I botched that one. That was the first, I got maybe the first 12 minutes were good. The last 6 minutes died down into the last 3 minutes. I was bombing super hard. It was a rough day. And then after, I stuck with it a little bit. I was only doing 1 mic a week. Like she said, it wasn't until maybe, I don't know, August, July, August of 2022, I started doing three mics a week. And then it was let's really take this fucking serious.
And so now, do you read same question that I had with Xtina? Do you remember some of the earlier jokes, and are those all completely filed away, or have any of them survived the last couple of years?
I would say I have a couple that made it through. I just remember one bombing because it's very topical. I used to open up and talk about Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Obviously, here we are now. You know what I mean?
Listen, we all want sexy topics.
Yeah. You know what I mean? When I went into I was ripping on something about, I was like, man, I really love I was talking about breakup sex. And I was like, I thought that was a myth. Like a fucking something or an honest politician. And then I went to talk about that.
Oh, he has to stop. The microphone's attached to her ear pod.
The microphone's attached. What time code is that? The microphone's attached to her AirPod.
No. So you can hear it now.
Yep, now we can hear you.
Sorry.
Can you hear it?
Yep, now you're good.
Whoa.
All right, no. So I wanted to remember. He was an Olympic athlete. I feel rude to call him the Kardashian dad now.
Oh, well, I mean, he is the Kardashian dad. That bitch dead. Who cares?
No,
Jenner.
The very beautiful trans woman.
Caitlyn
Jenner. Yeah.
Caitlyn Jenner.
What?
Caitlyn Jenner.
I'm sorry. She killed someone with her car. We don't have to worry.
Did, but I was like, that was my bit. I was like, you know what? I don't want Donald Trump to win. I don't want Hillary Clinton to win. I think we should vote for Caitlyn Jenner because there's no kind of commitment like being willing to chop your own fucking dick off. If she's willing to commit to our country for that, I was like, that's 100% nailed it. You know what I mean? That's what I want in the running. That's the kind of dedication. You can't. What are you going to torture her for? That's a foreign country. You're not going to get shit out of her. What are you going to do? It's already done. You're fucked. That was what I was in. So I was like, yeah, there was that bit. There was a couple other bits, but not a lot of them made it through, especially not now. Those notebooks have burned along with my ambitions from that time. You know what I mean? They felt hard.
Yes.
No, do you keep all your old notebooks? You ever go scrolling through them?
I do. And then that's when I realized how much weed I used to smoke. You know what I mean? You go through and you're just like, Jesus Christ. This made no fucking sense. What was I going after here? You know what I mean? You're just pitching concepts. Like she said, I wasn't writing punchlines. It was concept, maybe a couple jokes.
But when we first met.
And then maybe I had a punchline on the end. It wasn't really until I started.
When we first met, you didn't smoke weed at all. Because you were in the Marines.
That's very true. Yeah, well, we had met. We met over 10 years ago. 10 years
15 years ago.
We're on 15.
I don't know. So I met him because he was remember we were at Fire and Ice and you were proposing to your girlfriend?
That is correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you have a lot of? He was with this one girl and we were here's type stories.
That was literally 15 years ago. Yeah.
Oh,
thank you for saving that. But yes, I had a
but again, he was not smoking weed at all.
My best friend at the time.
Oh, we're going right into it. Okay, yeah. We're getting right into it, guys.
Call me out. We'll call you out.
Oh yeah, here we are.
No, and Xtina, do you keep your old notebooks? Do you ever just flip back and maybe
keep my old notebooks?
Yeah, with all your jokes and stuff. Have you ever oh man, you know what?
I'm not around long enough to be old.
No. I would say I started. So I kept. Oh, is that? Are we on a morning show? A morning? Are you guys?
Yeah,
Shock DJs. What was that?
That was the 8 a.m. boner alarm. and 107th caller gets a thing of KY. I don't know.
Very specific. Very
What's the
specific.
thing?
No, but no, I honestly, so I started like keeping notes, I don't know, 4 years ago, and they were in my phone. I've had the same phone for 4 years. I bet Apple is not happy about that. I'm pretty sure they're slowing down my phone so that I buy a new one.
Does Siri try to punch up the jokes? Like,
because I was going.
I mean, I wish if she was, I would be doing way better than I am now.
No, wait a minute.
Yeah,
It was supposed to be against AI. That's bad.
Right.
No, God damn it.
Don't praise.
No, I agree, but
Well, you shut your whore mouth. You're against AI. Get out of here. No.
hold on, guys, because I don't want them to hear me.
So much better.
No, I don't want them. I am an AI bootlicker. I don't want them to know. I don't want them to know.
Don't worry.
Them,
Not even the
they're
algorithm listens to
listening,
this
right,
podcast.
guys. They're listening right now. No.
Listen, you're the first people they're coming for when the robots take over, okay? I'm buying it. My blender's amazing. My oven's great.
I'm terrified. I'm terrified. It's all happening. It's all fucking happening.
Uh-huh.
We're going down.
No,
It's gonna be 5 years.
because it's funny because
You might have been drinking.
I gave it 5 years.
I just went through my phone, and I didn't know the notes were back to 2014. Like there was 20, and the notes that I found, like when
Yeah, baby. Yes.
let's say when I'm having disagreements with management, I do I'm gonna write a really angry thing just to get it out, and I like was scrolling through, and I'm like, oh. If she ever scrolled to my phone, it's not text messages with the women it sees. And then she did this thing that it's like, once I write it down, then I can turn the page and be over it, But I'm like, oh man, I got to burn the phone now. But I did.
Oh, but you decided to make a record of it, you fucking idiot. What are you talking about? Why would you make a record of it? I am a lady. I'm a lady, and I'm like, yeah, if I had a girlfriend, I'm not gonna fucking keep records of my complaints. Are you out of your mind?
Oh, they're
Doesn't work at
cataloged.
the fucking job anymore. Who cares?
They're all catalog. No, but it's funny because it was like Joe and I were writing something a couple of years ago, and I went out to a bin that got moved to guitar that was never opened, that never been opened since I moved back. And I'm like, there's a couple old notebooks. I found a set list from like 89. And I'm like, oh. I'm like, yeah. So when I did, if you guys ever seen, when I've ever done hey, I'm trying to work on audience warm up, give me an S. Give me an H, and I have people spell out sheep.
No, it's
89 is the first time I did that. Like, honestly, that joke is older than Casey. Honestly, that joke is older.
33-year-old joke.
Like, I did I go through. Look, there's only so much up here that's ever going to work, and Joe's only willing to punch up so much stuff. So I got to go back. No, I want to.
Look at hockey sticks knocked out a lot of it. I understand.
Oh, dude,
I get where you're going.
No.
Between football hits and boxing hits, I've been knocked around a little bit. I get it. You lose some stuff. You have a limited capacity. You know what I mean? You have a short amount of RAM. I get it.
See, these are the teeth I'm supposed to wear all the time, and I never do.
You doing the teeth thing? Are you doing that? So you know who did that the other day? It was McGinnis. We had a house show. I did like a house show in my apartment. That one, you don't need the big fucking window or whatever. I had McGinnis over, and he at one point made a joke and pulled his fucking tooth out.
No, he didn't. He didn't pull it out. It fell out.
Oh, it fell out?
Oh.
No, it was an accident. It just came out.
It was so fucking funny.
No.
He pulled it away. And then my favorite bit was at the very end of it, he was like, I'm 36 years old. I was like, Jesus fucking Christ. You're the holy.
But it was 47.
Like you're right near me. How do you look like you're 40? Okay, let's go.
Well, and
Not great.
I think when we were, the three of us were up in Manchester, and I think I said to you, Nick, I'm like, I don't know if he's recovering cocaine or he's enjoying the ride now, but this guy is always, I mean, he has that fun. And honestly, and I'm dead serious, you guys wouldn't have noticed the first half dozen times I went to the safe. I was a church mouse, and I honestly remember saying to Joe and my wife, I honestly thought the first month, at least the first month of going there, that it was a drug hookup. That's all it was. I swear to Batman, I don't say God because I'm an atheist, but I swear to Batman, I honestly thought, because the number of people
I will swear all over God because he's not real. I will jerk off on his fucking board.
Oh, again with the coming. Always with the coming. Can you please?
Which we know.
It's on the mind. It's on the mind. It's always on the mind.
She's kidding. We know women don't come, Joe.
Oh, right.
Thank you, Jacques.
No.
Thank you.
Well, Nick.
Let's get into the latest. Andrew Tate podcast. Okay?
Move over.
Oh, that bitch going to jail.
Hey.
That bitch going to jail.
How do you say? Nick, you're a real man. How can a real man tell if a woman's having an orgasm? A real man doesn't care. Oh,
Yeah. It's all over it.
Energized
I hope she wakes up and you don't have to roll her up on the carpet and get your body in the river. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Listen, babe, oh shit, we gotta go soon. We have some shit to do. We got some bodies to roll into the fucking river.
We have a drug hookup to go.
but I did the first few
but
months. I swear
That's
the
what all
first.
my kids are. And they're like, "Oh, is that a drug type? Meet you at 7 for the drug."
Oh, he's just checking. He's checking on the roast that he pulled out of the fucking.
Look at him. No, I did. The first month at the safe, I truly thought half the people here are for, this is where they either sell their drugs or get, and I don't mean in a judgment way, but I truly thought that that's what it was. And after a while,
So, do you know anybody that's selling drugs? That would be really, if you could just give me some context, that would be really wonderful.
that's a hilarious thing. I know so little about it that.
Are there YouTube videos on how to make drugs by now?
Yeah, no, it's
just
like Breaking Bad is all, taught us everything we need to know. I want to segue on. So you guys, now, and the amazing thing is you start in November, XTina, you're doing paid shows in April, and then by June, you're producing shows. I mean, that's such a quantum leap, and not producing shows, but producing shows that, if it didn't sell out, it pretty much looked like it was a sellout. It looked absolutely amazing. And how did that transition come about?
I think it was that thing where so I started doing comedy, and then I was also in a shitty dead end relationship with somebody that was literally a crackhead, and I had to break up with them, and I moved out. So March 1st, I had to move into my own apartment, which is where the backdrop of this beautiful podcast right now. And yeah, it was the first time I lived on my own, and I was like, fuck it. I have to go out on my own. And that kind of started all of it for me. The idea that, I could do anything. I feel like it did a lot for me. And, that breakup meant that, it was probably the best decision I ever made in my life. And I just went ham. I went crazy with doing open mics and doing this and that. And then, like you said, April came about. Well, April came about. I did, yeah. But April came about, and I did all these shows. And then it was mid-April. And I feel like doing those shows and getting booked on those shows for April gave me this confidence. And I had seen all of this stuff on social media about at Western Ave. And I was seeing how they were doing all these music shows, right? They were this incredible music venue. And I was like, shit, that's a beautiful looking space. I wonder if they'd be interested. So I literally reached out. It was info@taffetaroom.com or whatever on their fucking website. And I just sent, I basically cold called them. And I sent an email, and I was like, hey, would you be interested in doing a comedy show? Have you ever done one before? And then I got an email that day that was we would love to do a comedy show. And then the next day I called them, and me and Sean from Taffeta, who's an incredible person to work with, he is so kind and accommodating and was just so enthusiastic about the idea that I had, which was just a very well organized, tight comedy show, right? 6 comics. We have a host, 6 comics, and we're gonna get it done. And me and Nick. My first thought was, I have to have Nick host, like, because he's an incredible host, and he helped me. He's laughing his fucking ass off right now, but it's true. He's a great host. And so I was like, okay, well, we have to get comics. And we hand picked these comics from Lowell, plus Nick Hahn, who was not from Lowell. And we were like, we're gonna keep it tight. We're gonna get it done, and we're gonna see what happens. And we thought, 50, if we got 50 people to come to this show, success. That's success. And then the days were leading up to it, and we got word that it was 65 tickets sold ahead of time.
Wow.
That's cool.
Which great. That's incredible.
Well, no, it's amazing because when you went and did Luna, that was a pretty full house. Mike Donovan brought in some people, but you brought in a lot of people. Last month in May, that's, the last time I did it. Again, it was a pretty full room, but yesterday, it was empty, and it was a bummer because, Jim McHugh is great. I mean, I don't know if, and I mean this, I don't know if there's a better, crowd work guy in the country right now. Like, if you look at his special on, a dry bar special that he did, it hurts. It hurts how funny, it is. But, a bunch of the guys, a couple of the people that we do mics with didn't have anybody, you know what I mean? And that's a risk. That's a real risk, because when I say I know for a fact that 3 people, because one of the persons was from LA, just happened to be in town. And Greg's like, oh yeah, why don't you open this? And she was fantastic. All the comics were great. It was a great night, right? It's laugh-wise.
Yes, it was a good night.
But it was not empty, but a third full.
Yeah.
About a third full.
Right. I mean, compared to your show where you brought 20 people.
That's not important.
Listen, these aren't bringer shows.
Yeah. But I still can't believe. And I think half the people, when I introduced the mayor, thought I was joking that the mayor of Lowell came to the last Luna show. No, but if you guys got 65 people, they must want you to come back. I mean, is this something that you really enjoyed? Was this part of comedy that you liked, the producing?
Absolutely. And here's the thing, we got 65, and then when all was said and done, people that came to the door, we had over 100 people.
Wow.
In that room.
What does it hold?
Yeah. 180.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's pretty crazy.
We underestimated the amount of chairs there was standing. There was
standing room. We didn't understand that there were going to be that many people there. And I brought a bunch of people to Luna, but in terms of the people that I brought personally to Taffeta Room, it was maybe 8 people. So I'm I
did a great job with their sponsors.
Oh, they did an incredible job.
Amazing job with the last 3 weeks. They really hit it hard, but they did a nice Instagram sponsor post. And they,
I kept seeing it. And
but they brought it up.
Well, I mean, the great thing about because I was saying that, Joe and I were talking, it's as much work as Greg puts into the Luna, there's nothing at the Luna at yesterday's show about next month's show. There's no posters.
Right.
I've done what I could. I've rolled the rock up the hill so many times to watch it roll down the other way. I've become really good friends, with Jenny, who has a yoga studio there. How much
Jenny Million.
Yeah. Oh, she's the best. She's a great comic and just the most wonderful person. Absolutely. And
yes.
and literally, I think the last time we were all at Worthing together upstairs, I'm walking in my car and I see her skateboarding, back. And I'm like, holy shit.
It's such a Jenny thing.
Right? But I'm watching this and I'm thinking, she's a character out of a movie. Like, she just has
Absolutely
the coolest look, the coolest vibe. She's funny as hell. And there she is skateboarding through the streets of Lowell, after kicking out. No, but I've talked to her. All the stuff that the guy who owns Mill Number 5 has called. I've written proposals. He's taken me up on a bunch of things. I've hosted a bunch of Joe and I have hosted some events upstairs with them. But they go out of their way to shoot themselves in the foot every time, and it's like, just last night, here's Jim McHugh, a couple other comics, and they're like, is there any place around here to grab a cup of coffee as we walk right by a closed Coffee and Cotton? It's like, why isn't this open on show night?
Oh, you couldn't, right. You couldn't like stay open for a few hours, be a place where people can go.
And want to hang out after.
All right, the biggest mistakes everyone's making literally nowadays, I don't know how it's not super obvious to everybody, is that don't do a show every fucking month. Do it every quarter. It's so fucking easy. Do it every quarter. We're flooded. Katie Coughlin just did one at Warp and Web. You got one going at Mondo's. Granted, it's once a month. Like, even if they did once every other month.
Right.
Give me a little bit of scarcity. Give me a little, it's flooded. Everybody's doing every show. And the minute they get a little bit of success, they're like, we're going to do it every fucking month. We're going to jam it down everyone's throat. No.
And honestly, that's
a quarter
and we thought about it. We thought about it for Taffeta. We were like, oh, maybe we'll do this every month. And then we were like,
no, immediately.
No, everybody is doing. There's always a show every month. So you know what? We'll wait.
Concept 6, Warp and Web.
Yeah.
Fucking, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter.
You gotta wait.
Downtown, you can throw a rock and hit a fucking comedy show.
No, but what you're supposed to do with a business is you're supposed to take an idea, beat it to death, oversaturate the market, make people sick of it, and then
this guy gets it.
Yeah.
I mean, haven't we learned anything from the 1980s? Come on.
No, I mean, and it's
charge them $15 a fucking ticket like we're Boston prices. You shouldn't get fucking. You charge $20 a ticket. Go fuck yourself. You're a piece of shit. We're in Lowell, okay?
Right.
15 tops, maybe 10 is a good online. Like, get out of my face.
No,
right.
and I'm so glad.
But we were like, you know what? Maybe it's every quarter.
Yeah.
It's funny because the last time I was at Warthen, and it was great when I just started singing. Nobody noticed. I just started singing TV theme songs, which I still am cracking myself up over. But Tom Golden, the city manager, was there.
You think we didn't notice? If you think we didn't fucking notice,
everybody.
Tom Golden.
He lives there.
Do real estate with my mom,
right? And I turn around and he's there.
Lives there.
And the funny thing is, so I've talked to him about it, and a bunch of people at city government, are like, oh, this comedy thing is good. How do we do more of this? And I've been called into meetings. I got a couple meetings coming up, with the city because they have some venues that aren't being used. And he's like, oh, there's this 250 seat venue. It's gorgeous. We can give it to you for nothing. And we will promote the heck out of it. But that's the whole thing. There's this boom going on that is great. But if there are 5 book shows, and we're talking in our circle, 30 comics, of which
minimum
10, 15 are doing all. There's the book shows you just mentioned. I think Katie's on every one of these book shows, and it's like, how many times are your friends or your family? Not everybody has a fan base yet. I mean, everybody's starting to get a couple people, here and there, which is nice, but not enough to have 5 book shows in a 2-mile radius monthly,
But, yes. No,
so,
you're exactly right.
Give us some time to come up with some new fucking material.
That's the other thing.
Why am I going to repeat the same? I don't need you to come out and watch me do the same fucking.
Like, I don't want somebody to pay $15 to see me do the same shit I did last month.
I want you to see me do a whole new, or like close to it, at least a couple. Maybe I do a couple good ones that you like.
Or rework it.
Yeah, like I want to do, new shit. I don't want to fucking keep repeating.
So Xtina, let's embarrass Nick a little bit. So you read.
Okay, cool.
So you read Mike Donovan's book, or you're reading it. And what's fun about it, it's not meant to be read from start to finish. It's meant to be, you can just pick it up. It's like a bathroom reader, those old bathroom readers. So
yeah, it's piecemeal.
I was reading a part of it a few weeks ago, and it timed out nicely for me. But he was talking. I don't know if you got to this part where he talks about how important a host is, and how he used to get really great introductions, and how a really good introduction sets the tone for your set and also the room. And he talks about, in the 80s, early 90s, I was getting 50, 60% really good introductions. And now I'm lucky if I get like 10 of those, which is great because I read that and Max called and said, can you host one Broadway? And there was only 3 people there, but I put thought into the introductions. When you talked about Nick being a host, truly, Nick has a presence that a lot of the hosts don't. And when Nick goes up and he hosts the things and he introduces people, lots of people will squeeze in, I got a minute to do one of my bits I'm trying to work out. Where Nick seems to build up who's coming up and really give a real thoughtful, and I will say this, and I'm saying it on the podcast, I've taken pictures and I posted on Instagram. Not only are you so relaxed, Nick, as a host, you look fantastic doing it. And I know we got a couple guys who, bat for both teams, who show up. I'm not one of those guys, but there has been times I'm thinking, if I was still drinking, I might give consent with Nick. No, but Nick does a really fantastic job because when you bring somebody up, it's not like, okay, you see this guy every week, here's Casey, here's so-and-so. You put thought into it, and there's so much energy going on from the time you introduce a person to you hand off the mic. You are a fantastic host, and I hope, as well as producing shows, that's something you want to pursue, because honestly, it's a completely different muscle doing hosting, like true hosting. There's hosting an open mic where you're getting 30 people through and you want to keep it going, and that's great. But when I've seen you host, the work that you do and the presence that you have, it actually is something you should really consider doing a lot of if you're not, because you're really, really good at it. I'm done.
Well, I appreciate that. I always go back to that sentence, those who can't do, teach. So, you know what I mean? Those who fuck up their 5-minute sets will host and sprinkle a joke in between other fucking topics. You know what I mean? Like, fuck it up.
Nick Powell's Mondo comedy.
I like doing it. I like doing that. I think I would say my 2 things are I like hosting and I like roasting. I like hosting and roasting.
Okay, so let's get into that.
I'm not good at the fucking joking.
So you guys have a roast coming up, and I just told Joe about it yesterday.
Are you ready?
It's funny because
you ready, Jacques?
It's interesting because
you have a roast coming up. What the fuck are you talking to me about?
Well, how did this all come together? How many of these roasts have you done, and what's the whole? Explain to people who don't know what a roast battle is.
Are you fucking serious?
No.
It's 2023. People don't know what a roast is. For those of you who don't like fun, here's what a roast is.
I want to hear it. I want to hear it. Tell them, Joe. Let's go. Let me hear it.
What? I mean,
because you'll be surprised.
I mean,
everyone knows.
Everybody knows what a roast is. Yeah, you get up.
No, everyone knows Comedy Central roasts. Not everyone knows what a roast battle is. That's the difference.
I don't know about that. But
so tell us about when and where the show is. And are you hosting or are you roasting?
Both.
I'm doing both on that one.
Oh, me and Nick are roasting each other.
Oh, that's great.
Is it though? I feel like I've gotten some feedback that it's a terrible idea.
Oh, I wouldn't do it.
From Jenny. Jenny was like, that's so hot. She just said it's hot repeatedly for like 30 seconds. Like, it's so fucking hot. I was like, Jesus Christ. Jenny, shut up. We're trying to find it. She's like, no, it's not funny. It's hot.
Why would you tell her to shut up? Why wouldn't you say,
I would never actually
keep going.
That's fair. I've never told Jenny.
No, but it's true though. Like, Nick has always wanted this. This is what he wants. He got exactly what he wanted. It is perfect. July 9th, right? Sunday, July 9th at the Save. We're doing a roast battle. It's like we got fucking brackets. Like it's fucking football or some shit. I don't know. What do people do with sports?
So originally we were supposed to do one for Concept 6, and we're supposed to raise money for them. Due to a personal disagreement,
technical difficulty,
certain performing, we decided not to participate in that one. Then we took it, and Casey suggested that we do it at the same. We then went to move the venue, and then we found out that we can only do it at July 9th. So we picked that day, but that always made it to I just had pairs going up against each other. I fucking love roast. I've always been a roast. I mean, Jacques see me fucking Xtine see me roast. People just get up and like that's my first like minute and a half, 2 minutes. It's just fucking with people like roasting up what they did, what jokes they did, or like.
And that's why you're a great host.
And so I want to do that, and then like so we only had enough time. We were giving you Concept 6. We were only going to be allotted like 40 minutes. So we were going to do one round, basically prepare, and then once we switched it and worked this out, we talked to the owner of the safe, and he was like, "Yeah, you know what? Fuck it, you can do the whole night." So now we're going to do a bracket. And now you got to go against
multiple people.
You got to go. We're going to get like a final winner. Katie Coughlin went up against Carolina Montesquieu in the last one I saw. I love the both of them, and she did really good. I was mad because Scott Patone, who Jacques was up against. Scott Patone forfeited and basically told jokes about someone else completely. So we didn't go after Katie while Katie ripped him apart. So after I saw that, I wanted Katie Coughlin. We couldn't get her because she was doing when we originally booked the Concept big gig, because she was doing another gig that night. So she couldn't go. So we had this whole thing booked out. And then the minute we moved to July 9th, it opened up. But we got Owen Damon, who I know you love as a comic. He's a great fucking comic. We got Owen Damon to go against her.
Yes.
So now it's going to be her versus me, Owen versus Katie, Nick Hahn versus Paul Boric.
Oh, that's great. That's because they're roommates.
Roommate versus roommate.
The battle of the bisexuals. We got Casey versus Fredo.
Yeah.
And then we got one more, I think.
Wait. To be bisexual, don't you also have to have sex with women? That's just a question for either one of them.
That's a great point.
Who are you talking shit about, Fredo? Is it Fredo?
Sorry. I thought he was talking shit about me.
No. Wait,
I should probably be having sex with women in order to be bisexual. But
well,
just throw that one out. Shit.
No,
what are you gonna do?
It's funny because when Nick first mentioned it, I'm like, look, I truly, it's not an exaggeration, grew up in locker rooms and just ripping, like all Joe and I do is, and we're going to record.
I'm sorry. First off, I need to pause. You need to destroy Fatone.
Oh my God, yes.
Like, you need to absolutely. I'm sorry. Are you ready? Like, it's not going to be that hard if you put in like minimal fucking effort. Do you listen to me? You put in minimal effort.
The pain.
You need to, Jacques. You need to destroy him.
Yeah.
And I know you will. And I know you can, and I know you fucking will. This is very important.
So much. He's underestimating the shit out of you. And I ripped on him the other night for it. He's a fucking idiot.
He's a fucking idiot.
No, I am. I'm looking forward to it. But generally speaking, like, I don't like to be mean. I mean, I know that sounds funny. Like.
Yeah, I know. But here's the thing. Listen.
He's gonna make jokes about your kids.
He's gonna make jokes about your kids, and you were in.
I don't have to keep him from you beating the shit.
You were in amateur league. You were in hockey. You did hockey. You need to use that anger. You need to funnel that anger into. You've seen him.
Well, it's what's interesting, and we and the three of us have never talked about it. I've talked about it briefly with Joe. We talked about it with Paul when Paul was on my podcast. I know and it's fine. Like, literally, the things that don't bother me would stun most people, like all the time. Like, I just
sure.
And I just
that's powerful, though.
But it took a long time to get here. But it's really funny when like 3-4 months into doing the open mics, one day I posted on Instagram. I said, if you're the kind of comic who shows up just before you get on stage and you hand the mic back to the host as you're heading for the exit, you're a douchebag. Also, everybody should tip the bartenders because they put up with a lot of shit. That was directed at two people, without mentioning them, who clearly knew it was about them. And they did not like that. And one of them...
boo-hoo, what?
Well, it's funny because one of them, the next time in there from the stage, was saying something, and I kind of just ignored it. And then the other one was kind of really kind of going over a line with something. It is what it is. And the next time we were all at a place, I had one joke that I use forevermore. It's one of the best jokes I've ever had. Oh, there was a guy I don't like. I found out he got stabbed, and I was like, yes. And then I thought, you know what? I don't want to be that kind of person. I don't want to be that kind of person. Because the whole ride home, I thought, man, that poor knife has chlamydia. And so the rest of that set.
So not people or inanimate objects that have chlamydia.
Right.
Okay.
And so the rest of that set that night was, honestly, I remember it because I like Joe always says when he sees my notes and how I Excel spreadsheet things, he's like, why do you always have to beautiful mind everything? But the rest of the set, it was, I talk about I'm Oscar Schindler, paying for my kids' college. That person followed me out of the bar and into the parking lot. And it was, and the thing is, I knew I was being followed.
You were very unafraid. Let's be honest. I looked wide-eyed for a second, but I'm like, if I know what you're talking about, we're not fucking scared. That's a joke.
But I hit record on my phone.
You got followed out by a Chucky doll. Okay.
His arm is wider than that guy's thigh.
I got, and I feel bad. Okay, I feel bad, but I taped it. Like I hit my recorder and I hit my phone, and if there's ever a roast battle, I almost felt bad. Like how much, and he kept trying to bait me, and I'm like,
I hear that so much.
And I remember he's like, I'm like, dude, you're not worth spending a night in the Gray Bar Hotel for. I've been to jail. It's not that bad. I'm like, wow, I never thought not going to jail was a bragging point, you know? And so anyways, so on July 9th, some of that stuff might come up. It's not with Fatone, but it's with his sidekick. So yeah, so we
is that a sidekick?
Oh, I don't know if I wouldn't count on that.
Oh, the sidekick.
Okay, so before we wrap it up, honestly, and let's look 18 months down the road. Are you guys? Do you guys have day jobs, or is this it? Or you think you're going to be out hitting?
Yeah, no. So I definitely have a day job. I actually really, this is going against everything that I ever believed in until now. But I love my day job. I am a project coordinator in an engineering firm, and I fucking love it. I make good money, and I know I'm gonna get promoted in the future, and these are all beautiful things for me. Would I love and am I putting more focus into comedy? Yes, that is for sure happening. But 18 months, I know that's not a very long time.
It's
So what I love is that I'm at a job where, and we talked about this, right? I have all these people at work that support me, that love me, that have come to my shows. Multiple people have come to multiple shows, and that will probably continue to happen. And I'm very funny at work, and we're so small that we don't have an HR department yet. So I'm able to say things like, someone's like, oh, do you remember this happening? I'm like, yeah, how could I forget? That's my 9/11.
Wow. That's my 9/11.
She's not fired.
No, you know why I'm not fired? Because I'm really good at my fucking job. No, but it's incredible. I love my job, and I love the people I work with. So if in the future I ever was like, hey, I gotta go, I'm doing this full time, they would support me to the ends of the fucking earth. And I don't know that there are any other like there are not that many companies that would do that.
And what about you, Nick? 18 months, where's Nick fucking Powell on the comedy Richter scale?
Well, first I want to pause a little bit because I felt like we just walked all over this episode. I mean, you get to talk about like Joe. I have questions for you.
Oh God, no! I will answer nothing.
2 minutes.
I'm not under oath.
Answer nothing.
No, go ahead. What's up?
Give me 2 minutes. I want to know, when did you meet this motherfucker to my left over here? But in my screen, you know what I mean? When did he come into play in your life?
When did I meet Jacques?
Yeah.
I met him in '94 at a Lexington public access station when me and my two friends were doing a shitty public access comedy show where we were pretending to be three douchebag teenagers sitting in front of a camera trying to do comedy. Turns out we were three douchebag teenagers.
You were pretending to be or living your best life?
Oh, yeah.
So now we're all just doing that?
Yeah, exactly. So I met him way back in '94 in Lexington, Massachusetts.
So you were trying to buy pot off. Like, how did that go? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm looking at Jacques now, did he have the ponytail and the whole look, the beard and everything back then? Or, like, was he just
Jacques
ripped forward like a fucking
Jacques is going to reach for a publicity photo just so you can see what he looked like back in '94. Yeah.
Oh, my God. He looked like he was going to be cast for Grease 3. What happened? I'm so upset. Missed it.
Yeah. The hair was twice as long, and it was shaved on the side, and I would often grow. Tell them about my facial hair that I rocked for many years.
Oh, what, the one sideburn?
One sideburn. I wore one sideburn for a decade.
What happened to the other one?
He got rubbed off by some girl's fucking thighs. That's
okay.
That's what I would tell people. I would honestly, Nick. I would tell people I'm going out with this girl and she has a rash on the left side of her leg, so I put ointment here, and when I go down, she finds it soothing. But I did it for one reason and one reason only. You would be talking to somebody, and the look on their face when they realized, and then they don't know, they're trying to process it. It's like, did he mean to do that? Did he shave one off? What happened? Does he have cancer on that side of the face?
I want to actually bring back the one sideburn, except I wanted to introduce a new thing called the Hitler sideburn, where you just have like a square right there.
Please.
Nobody's doing the Hitler sideburn. And I think Jacques can introduce that.
No one.
For real. That's dope.
No cap.
Man, I did not see that coming. I did not see that coming.
Hi-oh.
9. No. Well, here's the most fucked up thing. I said this to Joe about 4 or 5 years ago, and this is going to sound horrible. I had just got out of film school. I had a music video show that did okay.
Who paid for that?
No, it was my thing. It's like I worked with all the labels. I ended up working for the music industry for 20 years. But with Joe and I did the math. It's like you're 14 or 15.
I'm 45 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's like,
you're grossly underestimated.
Yeah. You're way off.
It's funny. He's 14. I'm 22, and we're hanging out all the time. And it's like I said that to him a few years ago.
I was 17.
Yeah,
is this before Spotlight came out?
Yeah,
or like what's going on?
Well, it's funny because I said that like his son was about like 16. I'm like, if he comes home and he says, "Yeah, my best friend's 22 and I'm hanging out doing a comedy show,"
I didn't know what grooming was back then, but
no one did. No one did. It's okay. You can talk about it. You can talk to me. Call me after.
Well, the thing is, we haven't hooked up yet, so I'm really playing the long game.
Oh my God.
I am really playing the long game.
Such a CT.
I can't.
Married for 25 years with kid facade, type thing.
It just gets in your way. Okay, so like Brokeback Mountain was like based off you guys. It just wasn't made until it's. I get it. Yeah. No. So year and a half. Listen, I'm realistic about this. If a whole bunch of stars align and everything falls into place.
So many stars.
Yeah, and I get to and all of a sudden I join a podcast that has like 30,000. Yeah, maybe. It's like we all know that's the secondary thing, right? You do comedy and then you do a podcast regularly while you're doing your tours and you're doing shows. But you do a podcast. That's the thing. So no, in a year and a half, I would love to be your professional. You know what? In a year and a half, my goal is to get on one of Will Noonan's Capo shows. That's my goal.
It's
a realistic one.
It's funny when you mentioned podcasts. Joe and I were at the Luna yesterday, and here's Jim McHugh after the show, who just did our podcast last week, saying, "Hey, I want to do a podcast. You want to help out?" It's like even him. That's
I'm sure he wants that broadcast.
No. It's fun
Everyone
because
wants to
we
do a
talked
podcast.
about some fun stuff. Because look, there are a lot of fun things. I mean, like you said, we're all doing. The number one thing is we all like comedy. We like to laugh. And it's and honestly, as great as Nick is as a host, XTina, there's not a better, more supportive, fan of comedy. You generally are there at the first and the last person leaving, and you laugh. And you give so much great feedback. It's like the positivity you spill out, at the safe and the other place I've seen you. I really, when I see you guys there and on the list, I know, okay, it's going to be a lot of fun, and they're really good people. And if nothing else,
I agree when I see you.
Yeah, if nothing else, there's a half a dozen people that in 5 years I'm still going to be pals with, and I love that. I'm going to let you guys go. You got a roast, not the roast on July 9th, but one in the oven, or did you take the roast out? Is the roast still in the oven?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's out. Yeah. We're dying for it.
So, I'll leave you guys on that. I'm really looking forward to July 9th, and I've really appreciate you guys coming on, and I really appreciate you guys as people in comics. So thank you.
Hell yeah. Thank you.
Love you too, dude.
Love you.
Semper Fi. Hoorah.
Love you. That makes perfect sense.
That's fine.
That makes perfect sense.
All right.